As we continue talking about this examination of our company, we want to then step into a next section of it, which is this question of where is it needed? Is your company a national company or is it a regional company? Do you service a large area or do you service a small area? And that may seem like a pretty general question. It may seem like something that doesn't matter. But when you think about the look and the feel and the verbiage of your company, nothing could be more important. Knowing what is regionally acceptable and what is nationally acceptable. Is your company national or regional? It's just a simple question to answer. These are two different grocery store chains, and you see one that we all know is Whole Foods. It's national. The brand stands up in any environment, in any region, in any place. The other is a local grocery store by where I live. And it's a little bit more informal. It's a bit more local. And so when you think about your company, you need to be able to answer a few questions about that. Is there expansion in your future? Are you looking to become a national brand? Maybe today you're in one area and maybe you just service one consumer base. And maybe you're looking to go national. We need to think about that and answer that question ahead of time. So when we create the look and the feel of the company, it's expandable to other spaces in other regions. We think secondly of, will the same brand hold up over space of time? I was working with a client a while back, and they were based in a college town, and so as a choice of being in that college town, much of their color schemes and their logos and so forth identified with that college area and the college team that they loved so much. But as I spoke to them about their new brand and expanding into new areas, I helped them understand the fact that as you go into your rival's area and you start selling in your rival town, that may not go so well. And so we have to think about what our expansion plans are and will the brand hold up over many different places. Are there regional considerations? Is your logo and your company and your brand using a lot of regional language? Are they using a lot of regional things that people may understand? Which would be very good and very valuable if you're planning to just stay locally. But if you're looking to grow and expand, then we need to be thinking about what that's going to look like. I was working with a company recently, and their entire brand was built around the state that they were in and that place that they were at. And they were looking now to expand into another marketplace, and they were going to go into another town in another region that was far from where they currently were. And we had to make a decision whether to take their current brand and expand it nationally and give it a national look and completely rebrand it, or whether the company in the new marketplace was just going to have an entirely different name and an entirely different persona. And that's a thought that you might need to have. You may need to decide how you're going to position that company going forward. Is it just going to stay regional or is it going to go national? And then lastly, can the brand pivot if needed? If the marketplace changes, if the region that you're in or if the industry that you're in changes dramatically, is the brand able to pivot with it? And that may be something where it won't. Maybe you'll have to just start a new brand altogether. But if you're in an industry that maybe there's a little more volatility in, you need to identify that now. And the brand that you're creating and the company that we're going to start talking about and building out here, can it pivot with the times? Can it pivot with the region? Can it pivot with the changes in the industry? It's just some things we need to be thinking about. Before we get started into this and these next steps of really cracking into what your company should look like and how it should sound and all of those things, these most important questions that we've started with here, these identifying who you are as a company internally, need to be answered. As somebody who does marketing and branding, so often you'll sit in with a company and hear them talk, and they'll have identified a lot of these things early on and be able to properly verbalize what they are and who they are as a company. And it makes the conversation so much easier. And other times you'll sit with somebody and they've done very well in business and they've been able to succeed and do some wonderful things, but really don't have much of an idea of how they got there. And those conversations can take a lot longer and be a lot more complicated. And so by handling some of these things and examining yourself early in the process before we move on to these other steps, you'll find that it really does solve a lot of problems before they come up.